When Nirvana's album Nevermind sold more than 4 million copies in its first year of release, Kurt Cobain rocketed from poverty-stricken obscurity to worldwide fame.
I've never seen anything in my life that was like the break of that album.
Within a few months of its release, it sold several million and went to #1.
To date, Kurt and Nirvana have sold an estimated 50 million albums worldwide.
Courtney has claimed that Nirvana has generated more than $500 million in record sales.
I was lucky enough to get his tax returns for the year 1991, which was the year Nevermind broke, and he only made $31,000 that year. The next year, though, he made multiple millions, and suddenly he was wealthy.
Kurt was deeply conflicted about becoming a multimillionaire. He'd been poor and hated it.
He had been living on people's floors because he couldn't afford his own apartment, and he didn't want to be broke, and he didn't want to die broke.
In public, he pretended that he was disgusted by his newfound fame and fortune, and he didn't want to have anything to do with it. In private, his friend said he was ecstatic.
He was not a big spender. He wasn't someone that particularly wanted to buy fancy cars or fancy clothes or anything like that. But I do think he wanted security, and he was certainly interested in how much he was going to make.
After Kurt married Courtney Love in 1992, his low-rent lifestyle underwent a significant upgrade.
She really liked the high life, and she insisted that he buy a mansion in Seattle's wealthiest neighborhood. He bought this huge estate for $1.1 million in late 1993. Right next door was Howard Schultz, who owned Starbucks. Across the lake was Bill Gates' estate.
Kurt's ritzy new lifestyle prefigured drastic changes in Nirvana's financial structure.
When Nirvana originally signed to Geffen Records, the three main members agreed that all the money would be split equally.
Once Kurt went and said, I want a bigger share of the income and the royalties, in my opinion, that really was the end of Nirvana.
He was extremely conscious of the money he was making, and regularly asked me for memos to describe how much he was going to make, as he would always say, after taxes, after commissions.
He got about 90%, and the other members split the other 10% equally. So there was a huge difference. The difference probably amounts to anywhere between $50 and $150 million in future royalties.
Despite the financial struggle behind the scenes, Nirvana continued its earnings spree, selling an estimated 3 million albums in 1993 alone. Then came Kurt's shocking death in early 1994.
Hi, I'm Kurt Loder, and this is The Week in Rock. Sadly, this week in memory of Nirvana leader Kurt Cobain, who was found dead on Friday morning in a house he owned in Seattle. A suicide at the age of 27.
Further complicating the tragedy was the discovery that Kurt died without a will.
He had a number of wills that were not signed, bizarrely. So it's one other instance where a number of people debated whether or not there is a will that never was found. But as it was, Courtney being his surviving wife, his estate went to her and to Frances Bean Cobain.
The estate was probably worth $100 million in future royalties, at the very least.
3 years after Cobain's death, his widow Courtney Love formed a fragile partnership with Kurt's bandmates to manage Nirvana's assets.
So after Kurt died in 1994, we had the sad instance of we had three people now trying to get along. You had Novoselic, Grohl, and Courtney Love as the widow of Kurt Cobain. And that essentially was the partnership that ran Nirvana.
But the partnership, called Nirvana LLC, wasn't exactly amicable. In 2001, Courtney sued to dissolve the dysfunctional company.
Courtney's contention in the dispute with Dave Grohl and Chris Novoselic seemed to be based on the notion that it was Kurt's band. The band was Kurt's creation. He was the creative force, and without Kurt, the band could not have existed.
Ain't it just a bitch? What a pain. What all the crying shame. What
You had on one side Grohl and Novoselic, who at some point argued that Courtney was mentally incompetent.
Courtney claimed that Kurt always hated Chris and Dave, that he never had any use for them, that they were untalented hacks.
They couldn't get to Kurt's money for nothing.
Courtney wanted full ownership of Nirvana, but before a trial decision was reached, cooler heads prevailed.
And then finally they came to a settlement, very secretly. Nobody really knows the terms to this day, but it's alleged to be very favorable to Chris and Dave.
I think most fans of Nirvana don't care as much about these minor legal squabblings that occasionally would show up in the press.
In the years that followed, Courtney became infamous for her drug problems, erratic behavior, and scrapes with the law.
I don't know why she's getting herself into this much trouble.
Did you hit her?
She seems about to implode.
Then in 2004, despite receiving untold millions in revenue from Kurt's estate, Courtney went public with the astonishing claim that she was going broke.
Courtney has a very expensive lifestyle. Apart from her massive legal bills, she has a Malibu beach house. She travels all over the world first class. She spends a lot of money. And it sounds like she really doesn't have that kind of money to spend. And now she claims that somebody's stolen $40 million from her and from Frances Bean.
The trust for Frances, as far as I'm aware, hasn't been raided. There certainly has been some debate in the family about that. I mean, Frances is a wealthy girl at this point, far wealthier than anybody else involved in Courtney or the other guys in Nirvana.
In spite of her personal excesses, one thing people do give Courtney credit for is her careful protection of Kurt's legacy.
Overexposure is a huge issue for musicians, for celebrities that are living right now. It's the same thing for dead celebrities. I think you don't necessarily want to have a Nirvana song licensed for a car ad. You don't want to do that because it really goes against what Nirvana was about.
The Nirvana estate is a great example of, in modern times, there's actually some value in not over-commercializing an artist. By keeping Cobain's memory strong, and people remember him for the music, they don't remember him for the t-shirts or the Kurt Cobain air fresheners.
Of course, Courtney hasn't resisted every money-making opportunity. In 2002, she sold Kurt's personal journals to Riverhead Books for a reported $4 million.
It was outrageous. This was Kurt's most intimate, personal thoughts. And Courtney sold them for this relatively low amount of money, which suggests that Courtney was hurting financially.
There were some people who thought that that was overstepping an invasion of privacy. It was my opinion that he would have wanted people to read that.
By some estimates, Kurt's journals have generated more than $15 million in revenues.
They're selling millions and millions of copies worldwide, big international bestseller. Certainly generating huge revenues for Courtney and for the estate. But, you know, at what price?
Regardless of opinions about Kurt's widow, Nirvana's music continues to generate huge profits. A 2004 box set is expected to sell more than 2 million copies.
Nirvana is one of those special, iconic bands that will continue to sell and sell and sell.
More than a decade after Kurt's death, Nirvana still sells nearly 1 million records a year. That means Courtney and Frances will have a steady flow of millions at their disposal for years to come.
Kurt Cobain is a money machine. Kurt Cobain dead. is an even bigger money machine. He continues to generate tens of millions of dollars after his death.
And that's a fortune file.